my sidekick Dobby, and it is now February, which means I need to do my January wrap-up. So at the end of December, I started talking about a book that I had just started at the very end of that month. And I said I was having a little bit of trouble getting through it, and that was Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, The Summer of Thor. Not gonna lie, I didn't read that much of this book. I said in my wrap-up for December that I had actually stopped reading it a couple days into January and moved on to something else, and I never picked it back up. So I'm still hoping that I finish this at some point soon because I don't want to be done with Rick Riordan books, and I do still enjoy them. I've been on a really big contemporary kick, I think because of what's been going on in the world at the moment, and contemporary is kind of my feel-good. So I think that's why I couldn't do this right now, but I do want to come back to it at some point, and sorry to start on a fail, but this is a did not finish right now. My first actual book of 2017, which was in January, was One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. This is one of the books I got at YALLFest in November, and it's early. It comes out in May. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars, really 4.5 because I would have liked a little bit more of an ending, but I loved this book. It was Gossip Girl meets Pretty Little Liars meets The Breakfast Club, all rolled up into one. It's about 5 people that get stuck in detention together because they were set up, and one of them ends up dead. And then the rest of the story is kind of a whodunit. In true Gossip Girl style, there are posts coming out with information that are revealing their secrets and their motives, and this was just so enjoyable, and I definitely recommend everybody should read it. I did do a video for this, but I haven't actually edited it together yet, and that will be coming probably in May, close to the release of this book or at the release of this book, so look out for that one. The rest of the books I read this month I actually don't have physical copies of because I read them all in either ebook form or in audiobook form, so this review is going to be a little bit different than most of my wrap-ups, where I sometimes have like one I don't have a physical copy of, but I usually have them. I saved a lot of money. That's good, right? The next book I read was Wind Witch by Susan Dennard. That is the second book in the Witchlands series. The first book in this series is Truth Witch. It is about 2 girls mostly that are witches and have a specific type of power. I don't want to get into it too much here because I do have a lot of books to talk about. I do have a review for Wind Witch that I will link below, and I didn't love it. I gave it 3 stars. It's probably like 65% maybe. I don't know. I didn't love the first one, and then the second one was missing something that the first one had. I don't know. If you've read it, feel free to check out my review. This one is not my favorite series. We'll see if I continue reading it or not. The next 3 books I read in a row were all Casey West books. I read 2 on my Nook, and I did 1 audiobook. I'm going to go in order of when I finished them. It's not necessarily the order of when I started them, because I audiobook and read a physical book at the same time. And by the way, I did 1 joint book talk for all 4 Casey West books I read as of January 30th, I'm gonna say, and you'll see why in a moment, and I will link that below. Feel free to check that out. It's mostly spoiler free because I'm talking about 4 books at once. There's just a very small spoiler section at the very end of that video. The Distance Between Us, I gave 5 stars. That one is about a girl who works in her mother's doll store, and they live above the doll store. And she has always been against rich guys on principle because her father was wealthy and abandoned her mother, and thought that was okay because he gave her money, and that's all that matters, right? Anyway, she meets this wealthy guy, and there's a bit of a Romeo and Juliet feel, but it's adorable. Next, I read The Fill-In Boyfriend, which I gave 4 stars, but all of these are really 4.5 stars. It's just a matter of whether I felt like rounding up at the time or not. Fill-In Boyfriend is about a girl who gets dumped by her boyfriend in the parking lot of prom, and because her friends never believed her that she had said boyfriend, she convinces this random guy in the parking lot to pretend to be her boyfriend just to prove that he existed. But then, once he agrees, she gets very curious about why he agrees, and I think you can imagine where it goes from there. Again, completely adorable, worth a read. And the last book I read by Kasie West in my little Kasie West period of time, which I'm not saying is over, was On the Fence. That one is about a tomboy who grew up with 3, though she says 4, older brothers, and they like to play tackle football together and all of that. She ends up getting a speeding ticket and having to work in a clothing shop where she realizes there's this whole other side of her. And at the same time, she's meeting guys that seem interested in her for the first time now that she can wear makeup and wear girly clothes. But she enjoys going to the fence and chatting it up with her 3rd older brother, who's not really her older brother, but her next door neighbor. Again, it's adorable, and it made me feel good in a period of time when I wasn't feeling good in real life that often, which is why I've been reading almost exclusively contemporary, and that's also probably part of why I didn't love Wind Witch as much as maybe I would have if I wasn't reading almost exclusively contemporary, and same with Magnus Chase. I see a pattern. Next, I finished 2 audiobooks in a row because both of these books were so amazing that I had to break my rule. I usually have a rule with audiobooks that I'm almost only allowed to listen to them in my car when I'm driving somewhere, or sometimes when I'm walking Dobby. But these 2 were so good that I found myself putting in headphones. They were just so good, and I finished them really quickly, which is not normal for audiobooks. Those usually take me at least a week, often 2, but these each took me like 3 days, if even. Anyway, the first was Dumplin' by Julie Murphy, and I had been wanting to read this book for so long, but I hadn't read it because I just didn't get my hands on it, and I had so many other books to read, but I had been wanting to read it so bad. And guys, this book was so cute, and I understand the hype completely now. It was about a girl who is larger and calls herself fat, but doesn't necessarily see that as an insult. And she has had this crush on a guy that works in the same place as her forever, and all of a sudden he seems to reciprocate. And they have a little summer fling, and then, surprise, he's gonna be going to her high school. She feels like their relationship is a secret, and she doesn't necessarily want that to change, but at the same time she's also not super comfortable with it, so she ends it. Meanwhile, her mother is the head of this beauty pageant that the town is known for, and she has never even considered entering, but one day she does. And I adored this book. It was fantastic storytelling. I gave it 5 stars. It earned those 5 stars. It was a fantastic combination of coming of age, becoming independent, coming into yourself, romance, twists, lying, deceit, everything you could want in a story. It was very nice. My one complaint was that ending, man. I haven't done a video for this yet, but I do plan to very soon, so look for that. The last book I finished, and again this one was an audiobook that I got through really quickly, was Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. This one I also gave 5 stars. I don't know what I was expecting when I started this book, but it wasn't what it was. I honestly don't know what I thought it was going to be about, but it was adorable. I did give it 5 stars. It again earned those 5 stars, and I completely understand what all the hype was about when this book came out. It was phenomenal. It's about Simon, who isn't out, though isn't necessarily completely uncomfortable with the idea of being out, but he has this email relationship with another guy, but he doesn't know who the guy is. He knows they go to the same school, but that's all he knows. They met through a school anonymous Tumblr site. Somebody finds out about this email relationship and tries to use it against Simon, and things kind of unravel from there, but not necessarily in all bad ways. It had a great combination of romance, mystery, friendship, coming out story, and I just adored that book. I am planning on doing a video review for that one as well, though again, I have not taped it yet, because these are all ones I finished within the past, like, 4 days. So I haven't gotten in front of a camera yet. I think that's it for books I finished this month. I think I cheated. I cheated, because I didn't finish Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda in January, but by now I have. So I'm acting like I did. Sorry. I do have a physical copy of the last book I started in January, and this book actually was released on January 31st. I didn't even get my hands on it until February, but it happened to be the First Reads First 5 book, so I was actually able to start it on January 30th because that was a Monday. So I'm counting it, even though I was only able to read 2 chapters in January because that's all that came in my emails by the end of January. That is By Your Side by Kasie West. So yes, this is the 4th Kasie West book that I started in January, the 5th Kasie West book that I started since the end of December. Those are the only 5 contemporary Kasie West books in existence. I'm a little obsessed. Anyway, this one is about a girl who gets stuck in a library with a cute guy. Basically, paradise. However, she is supposed to be spending time with the guy that she has had a crush on forever, and her best friends who are going to think she ditched them, but maybe it's not so bad being locked, surrounded by books, and toys, and television, and this cute, mysterious boy. Anyway, still working through that one, but that is it. Again, sorry that I only had physical copies of 3 of them, 2 of which weren't finished, and everything else was digital of some sort, but change isn't a bad thing. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and comment below with your thoughts on any of these books, or whether you're excited to read them or what you read this month. And don't forget to subscribe by clicking right here. And feel free to check out some of my other videos. Definitely check out the ones that I've linked below for book talks that I did this month. And I will talk to you next time. Bye!